not just another grassroots movement. It's not a political campaign, and it's not activism. And it's certainly not about elections, parties, or right versus left. This is something much deeper. It's something foundational. It's about reclaiming the original jurisdiction, the lawful authority of the people, and reestablishing a government of, for, and by the people under God. A government that operates by divine law, by natural law, and by the foundational principles laid out in the documents that birthed this nation. Because whether most people realize it or not, the United States has not been operating under that original jurisdiction for a long time now. Not since 1861. Now, what we live under today, it looks lawful, but it isn't. Let me explain. It carries the appearance of legitimacy, but functions under a corporate and administrative framework that exists outside the authority originally delegated by the people. Now, the system is governed not by us, but by foreign interests, private corporations, and de facto authorities, using emergency powers that have never been lawfully withdrawn. Now, the Constitution is still referenced, but rarely obeyed. Your rights are no longer considered unalienable. They've become licensed privileges. And what we have in operation today is not a government in service to the people, but a corporate structure managing a corporate jurisdiction. Now, this is why we use the term de facto, meaning in fact, but not in law. We, the people, are seeking de jure, which means by law and by right. We are not asking permission to restore lawful government. We are declaring what has always been true, that government derives their just powers from the consent of the governed. Very important. And when that consent has been bypassed, corrupted, or stolen, it is not only the right of the people to correct it, but it is our duty. It is our duty. This is not rebellion. This is not protest. This is called reassembly of the lawful body politic in each state, and it is the peaceful remedy to a legal and spiritual occupation that began over 160 years ago. Now let's talk about how this happened. Now, in early 1861, as the storm clouds of the Civil War gathered, several southern states seceded from the Union. Now, their senators and representatives withdrew from Congress. So by March 14th of 1861, enough of them had walked out of Congress and lost its quorum. The minimum number of members required to lawfully conduct business. But instead of following proper parliamentary procedure, instead of formally adjourning to end a legislative session properly, Congress was never lawfully closed out. It went dark. They vacated their seats and therefore became suspended, not dissolved, not terminated, but put into a legal state of limbo. Now, that left the United States without a functioning de jure Congress. And when civil government becomes non-functional, military authority steps in, not by conquest, but as matter of necessity. Now, that's where the Lieber Code comes in, which is also known as General Order 100, which is technically the first executive order, per se, that a president has enacted. Now, it was issued by President Abraham Lincoln in April of 1863, this General Order number 100. And this document didn't just regulate wartime conduct. What it did is it defined martial law. It codified how military occupation operates and under what conditions it ends. Now, Article 1, if you actually go back and read Article 1 of the Liber Code, part of it says, a place, district, or country occupied by an enemy stands in consequence of the occupation under the martial law of the invading or occupying army. Now, that's Article 1. Article 2 goes even further. Martial law does not cease during the hostile occupation except by special proclamation ordered by the commander-in-chief or by special mention in the treaty of peace concluding the war. Now let's ask the obvious questions. Was there ever a special proclamation ending martial law and restoring civilian authority? The answer to that is no. Was there ever a lawful treaty of peace between the Union and the Confederate States? The answer to that would be no. The war ended with military surrender, not a treaty. So that means that in the absence of these required conditions, military occupation never lawfully ended. Now, legally speaking, we've remained in a condition of martial rule ever since. Not openly, not with tanks rolling down the street, but quietly, administratively, through emergency powers and foreign overlays and a corporate structure that has replaced the lawful republic. This is why you see constitutional protections ignored. This is why we live under statutory jurisdiction and code and regulations. This is why governments are registered as for-profit corporations. This is why your rights feel like suggestions and your freedoms feel like an illusion. It's because the occupation never ended. It's very simple. But the Liber Code doesn't just define martial law, it also shows us, the people, the remedy. It says this occupation continues until either there's a special proclamation by the commander-in-chief, there's a formal treaty of peace, but there's a third one, and this is key: civil authority is restored. That would be we the people, the civilian authority. There's where we come in. Because the authority to govern has always flowed from God to the individual, then to the people in assembly, and only then, by our consent, to the institutions of government. And the people are the highest authority under God. That never changed, but yet people have forgotten that. And that's what I am here to do, is to help you remember that, to remind you of your authority. Now, what changed was that we stopped acting in our authority. We stopped assembling. We stopped governing ourselves. And so the system filled the vacuum with a false structure dressed in laws, seals, flags, and procedures, but operating outside the original jurisdiction. Now, I don't know about you, but that really should get under your skin. But we can fix this lawfully, peacefully, and immediately. Now, through the process of reassembling the states in our de jure capacity, starting with your local community, your township, your county, and then your state, we can return to original jurisdiction, reassert authority to the people, and restore lawful government and governance under God, where it should have always been. Now, the documents are already there. The Bible establishes natural and divine law. The Magna Carta, Mayflower Compact, and Declaration of Independence affirms that government serves the people, not the other way around. Remember that. They serve us. We don't serve them. That's not how this works. And then you got the Northwest Ordinance and the Fundamental Orders of 1638, which reinforce the right of local self-governance. And now we step into that heritage. We are not fighting for power. We are restoring our authority, the authority of the people under God. because the clock is ticking and the future is being written right now. Right now. And the solution is not coming from Washington. It's not coming from another state or another vote or someone from overseas or the military. It's not going to be fixed by courts because the courts are part of the same structure. It comes from us, the people, reassembling lawfully, state by state, under the original design. So today, you have a choice. But I must warn you, with that choice comes responsibility. Because not everyone claiming to lead this movement is leading it in truth. Hear me on this, folks. Not everyone claiming to lead this movement is leading it in truth. There's a lot of people out there that have very bad agendas, self-serving agendas. And I wish I knew the deeper layers of these agendas, but I don't. But here's what I do know. There are individuals who have created platforms, people that others have trusted, well-known websites and recurring calls who present themselves as the voice of authority for the assemblies. And yet since 2020, only 2 states have truly reassembled and settled. Now, why is that? Why is that? We have been told that we have come very close in 2019 with 38 states, which is 3/4 of the 50 states. So that would make 38 states out of 50 states that is needed to return back to original jurisdiction, assuming that 38 out of 50 states reassemble their states. But what happened to those 38 states? What happened? Somewhere along the line, it imploded. And we're given so many stories and narratives on what happened. But really, who really knows what happened? But I say all this to say that only 2 states are assembled and settled. Now, why, with so much information and attention, has so little lawful progress been made? You have to ask these hard questions, ladies and gentlemen, which is why I have severed from a certain group. And if you have been here long enough, you know exactly who I'm talking about. You have to pay attention when key details are consistently left out. When lawful procedures are bent or bypassed, when truth is conveniently forgotten in certain places but repeated in others. When these people that lead these other movements, their words end up contradicting each other's and lies begin to reveal themselves. This isn't about pointing fingers. This is about discernment. Because not everyone claiming to restore the republic is working to truly restore this republic. They're not. Some are slowing it down. For what reasons? I don't know. Some may not even be working for your benefit. Some of these people are users, so be very cautious. Do your research. Trust your spirit and test everything. Test everything, ladies and gentlemen. Because there is a lot of people that want the progress of the people diminished and burnt to ash. There's a lot of people out there that do not want we the people returning to original jurisdiction. And most importantly, you need to stay the course in truth. This is bigger than any one man, website, or phone call. This is about the people under God returning to lawful governance together. Now, you can continue to live under a system that pretends to serve you but only seeks to control you. Or you can step forward and take your rightful place in history. So I say join us in Michigan and every state across this country where people are waking up, not to resist, but to restore. Restore law, restore peace, restore liberty, restore freedom, restore the jurisdiction of the people where it has always belonged. Now, if you want to learn more how to get this process rolling, email our communications secretary at comsec@michigan-dejure.org. That is COMSEC, comsec Michigan-DeJure.org. So again, it's ComSec, COMSEC at MICHIGAN-DEJURE.org. Michigan is the first assembled and settled state in the Union. A man by the name of Robert Gilman, a respected and admired retired Navy SEAL, helped blaze the path forward when he realized what was happening to this country. Now, this is your birthright. This is your inheritance. And this is your calling. So stand up, sign up, get involved, reassemble, because when the people return, the occupation ends and the republic lives again. Now get to work.